Another Dooley Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, and welcome into another Dooley Noted podcast brought to you, as always, by Titan MRI, coming to you from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios. We appreciate all of our great sponsors, and this is a Christmas edition, because obviously there will be no show on Monday on Christmas Day. But I want to wish all of you, not only our sponsors, but certainly our sponsors who we appreciate so much, but all of you who listen and watch and are involved in this thing, for being part of it. You know, looking forward to getting back in action again. No show Monday, but we'll be back Thursday with a regular show. And then the following Monday, we'll have a show ready for you that will, I think, Zach, we're going to get that up, I think, Sunday night, right? Yeah, Sunday night or early Monday morning. That'll be kind of a bold preview. It'll be a short story with no guests, because obviously not a lot of you are going to be clicking on to find out, because games start at noon that day, which is clearly the best day of the year. Anyway, all right, so that's where we're going. Let's go and start with our Process Service of Gainesville Starting Five, brought to you, of course, by Scott Hart and the great folks at Process Service of Gainesville. And obviously the big story around here yesterday was signing day. I don't know why they bother to call it early signing period. It is signing day. It's the one that matters. All the top players sign. And certainly not the greatest news for Florida. They had several guys flip. Amaris Williams is the one I really was hoping would come here, but again, the greatest thing about signing day was I only had to casually pay attention to it. Like in the old days when I was working for a newspaper, it was, I mean, God, we were obsessed with it in every minute of every day. In fact, one story I'll tell you, I started to look down to see about Pat Dooley's Storytime and do I want to sub it out? But no, we're going to stay with that. But one story was that I actually had the idea to get a tape recorder and make it an answering machine that we could use for all the signees. This goes back in the late 80s. Well, it would have been 87, right? When Emmett signed. And people just were losing their minds. And they burned it up. They burned up the answering machine. It actually, all of a sudden, it quit working and we saw smoke coming out of it. There were so many calls to it. Or it could have just been shoddy. Anyway, obviously, the big signees Florida got were Lagway and obviously the defensive end, KJ McCray, who, you know, and these guys could be difference makers, or they may be somewhere else in a year. I'm trying not to get too caught up in signing day and in rankings and everything like that. But at the same time, guys, this is why there's going to be heat on Billy Napier in year 3, when I kept telling everybody there wasn't, that it would be year 4 before he'd have to feel any heat. It's going to be there, because you're going to have to, this team you put on the field better be a lot better. And you know, here's the thing about signing day, guys, and ladies, I shouldn't say just guys, but you know how some people say that guys, and they talk about women, and usually it's women who say it. Anyway, you guys, but you never know why somebody signs. So it could be just for NIL. And I think a lot of people are signing for NIL money. And maybe late money comes in and you lose a guy because you can't get as much money. Some of it is playing opportunity. And Florida offers that, but it's really not as big a deal as it used to be. I remember back in the olden days again, being up at Union County on the day that Gerard Warner was going to commit. And I think it was signing day. So that's where I went, was there. And I was in coach's office, and on the whiteboard, Gerard Warren had written down Florida and Florida State and the pros of each one. And the big one on the Florida side was playing time. He thought he could play better here, or he could play more here, because Florida needed him at tackle. And he was awesome for Florida, and it worked out great. and luckily he went to Florida. But back then, it mattered a lot more how much you were going to get to play. But can you get to the league? There was a kid that went flipped from FSU to Georgia, and he said, "I took less money, NIL money, but they can get me to the NFL. I'm more in belief, or I believe more that they'll get me to the NFL in the best shape. And the reason is they've got 1 trillion guys in the NFL. This is part of the problem with college football. And there are so many problems with college football, I can't list them all. But one of the problems is, look, guys, these kids are coming in and they're saying, "Hey, I want to go to the NFL." They've got all the power now, but the more guys you put in the NFL, the more guys are going to want to come there to go to the NFL, and the more guys you put in the NFL, the better your team is, which means you're going to win. That's another thing. All the guys that flipped to teams that won games and went to bowl games this year. So the point of all this is, I don't think this class is as bad as some people are making out to be, as if it was a disaster. But should any Gator fans be overwhelmingly happy? I don't think so. I mean, you had the number 3 class at one point. Now, again, when I saw that, when it first was, I can't remember who committed that they did that. They put it up all the way up to number 3. I was like, that's now. None of these guys have signed, and none of these guys have even played their second season. We don't know what's going to go on here. But look, we'll get to it in this, that, and the other in a little bit. But obviously, not a great day for the Gators. I don't think it's as bad as people want to make it out to be, but not a great day. Okay. Let's get to number 2, which was Billy Napier's press conference. There's some things that came out that were of interest. I mean, you never want to hear a coach talk about players that are coming and players that aren't coming, because he's not going to talk about players that aren't coming. So when you talk about players that are coming, he's going to tell you how great they are. So that part of it just don't care. But the interesting part was when he started talking about strength and conditioning coach Mark Hockey. Apparently, they have decided to move him upstairs, and I don't know what upstairs means. I don't know whether it's going to be administratively total or whatever it is. He's not going to be the strength and conditioning coach, and they're going to bring somebody else in. So I don't know that he did a poor job. I don't think he had enough time. Most of these kids are freshmen or redshirt freshmen, but was Florida didn't look like other teams? Yes. Was it because they were younger than other teams? That's part of it. But maybe they weren't getting it done. Whatever the reason, I always leave coaching hires and coaching fires up to the head coach, because he's the one who's got to pay the price in the end. But he's out, and they also talked about, well, obviously Jay Bateman's out. If you haven't heard that news, Texas A&M hired him as their defensive coordinator. He was the inside linebackers coach, and good recruiter too. It is kind of weird when and these do happen on signing day or the next day. They happen more than you think. And I talked about this, I think, a couple of weeks ago, where a coach knows he's leaving, but he doesn't want anybody else to know because he wants to be fair. He wants to fulfill his contract. In fact, there was one story out there that the strength and conditioning, they don't want to pay the buyout, so they have to move him somewhere. And I don't know if that's true. Maybe I shouldn't say it because I don't know if it's true. I did read it somewhere, but it might have been on the internet. All right, let's get to number 3. Let's talk something fun for once. Let's talk about Gator basketball. The other night, Tuesday night to be specific, watching that game wore my tail out. I had to write afterwards for Gators Wire, which I love to do, but it was almost like I can't get everything in, and it's 5 takeaways, but I can't get anything in because there's so much that happened in this game. There's things I wrote down and I'm like going, I don't think I'm going to get into when they went on a run to go up 9-2. I don't think that's going to get into this story, but what a win for them. And again, Michigan's 6-6. I'm not saying Michigan's the greatest team in the world, but you watch that team play. It was a pretty good team. Florida's negative, the negative part of it, foot speed. On the guards, just quick guys get around them all the time. They're not real long defensively, but the thing is, Florida gave up over 100 points. Again, it went double overtime, but still, they weren't great defensively, and they blocked 10 shots in the game. So, they're kind of streaky defensively, and they're streaky offensively, but they could score. We all know that. Second game in the hundreds, so this one they won against a Power 5 team. And there was also kind of a breath of fresh air, or not breath of fresh air, but a sigh of relief. I should keep my cliches straight here, in that Florida needed to get a win against at least a brand. I don't know where Michigan's going to end up in the net rankings, and that's what's going to be the ultimate decider. But they needed to get a win there, so they've got a couple of those. Florida State, Pittsburgh, Michigan. I don't know how good any of those teams are, but at least they won those games, and now they go into. They've got one or two more non-cons, but I know one's Grambling, and I'm trying to remember the other one. Anyway, before they get to the conference, and all they do is open up with Kentucky. So for that, but hey, that was a good one. Florida is 54th right now in net rankings. If you care, you may care, you may not care, but they are 54th, just so you know. There are 9 SEC teams in the top 60. Now, top 60 doesn't necessarily mean you get in, but you're probably not getting in if you're out of the top 60. So 9 teams already. But again, the good thing about that too is that it gives you a lot of opportunities for important net ranking wins. There's no more neutral site games, until you get to the SEC tournament. And I know that Todd Golden loves those, but it is what it is. Number 4 on the process service of Gainesville, starting 5. We own Michigan, okay? Because the women also won the next day at the Jumpman Classic, where apparently they got unbelievable swag. And I turned it on. I'd forgotten that they were playing, and I turned it on, and I went, if they're losing, I'm not gonna stay with it. And they were up by like 20. I'm like, whoa, I'm staying with this. They ended up winning easily. And again, Michigan 9-3. Their net ranking wasn't great, but Florida's net ranking is 55 again. Both in the top 60. Give it to I hate pronouncing her name because I always screw it up. I'm sure. Aliyah Matharu, is that her name? Matharu. Oh, maybe I should listen while I'm watching the game to the broadcaster pronounce it and then write it down. Anyway, she scored 27. Yay for her, Aliyah. So good for her, and they got a big win. So that was a huge win for both the men and the women, and they move on to the we'll see where they go in the conference. So number 5 on the process service of Gainesville, starting 5. Speaking of the despicable Michigan Wolverines in every sport, I'm not a fan. I think I root against them and everything. That I will say this though, watching that game, and I knew Juwan Howard's story about his heart problem, and hearing the story about Jalen Rose being there when he was being wheeled into the operating room. I wasn't rooting against Michigan. I was rooting for Florida. Okay, there's me. There's games where you root against teams, but anyway, I am rooting against Michigan in the college football playoffs. They're kind of the only villain in my mind that's out there. But they got a notice of allegations (NOA) from the NCAA, which says we're investigating you. I thought this thing was over and it's just getting started, but that's. Michigan's probably going, yay! Because look, either our coach is going to leave or he's going to tell you guys to shove it again, and you can suspend him for as many games and take scholarships away. He's still going to win. That's one way of looking at it. But the other way of looking at it is every time you guys come at us, we win. You suspended Harbaugh for 3 games. He still beat Ohio State. You spent in the first 3 games, they won them all. No problem. They probably love this as another thing to get your arms around and get in the fighting mode and they're screwing with us, the NCAA, and blah, blah, blah. Let's go win their tournament, even though they really have nothing to do with the college football playoff. They'll come up with something anyway. The way Kirby did last year with his, we got disrespected all year. People were picking us to go 8-4. Nobody was. All right. So that is our process service of Gainesville starting 5. Appreciate all of our great sponsors and appreciate Scott Hart from Process Service of Gainesville. Let us take a break and then we'll come back with Drew Copeland. We'll do our picks. We got 11 games. We're going to see who wins this year. I won last year. Lunch needs to be served. In fact, it would be perfect as we're doing this, lunch was served. Karen, it's going to have to be from you. I don't think it'll be from Drew. All right, let's take a break here on another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
I was driving behind a lady, and very suddenly she moved out of the way. There was a log laying in the road, and when I hit my brakes, I went on top of the log. I had 280 discs. I just haven't been the same since. Jeffrey Meldon fought for me all the way. Him and his team really went there for me. Throughout the whole lawsuit, he made sure that my bills was paid. It was never no whenever I called him and asked him for something.
Call Meldon Law right now.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Dooley Noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brew To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it. All right, welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by our great friends at Titan MRI, coming to you from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios. It's a great pleasure to bring on our, guest picker, but also he does a side job in Sister Hazel. That's right. That's Drew Copeland. Drew, how are you today?
Man, I'm great. I'm better than I deserve, and I think you know that. So, yeah, things are good.
Yeah, that is true. I do like that you've got the Gator toboggan on, so you clearly haven't divorced them yet the way some people have.
No way, man. And nor have I divorced Billy. I still have faith, and I think you got to look. Building a recruiting class, all these individual things that need to get done. That's easy to point at. Changing a culture of a program and making something that's going to build a foundation that's going to last, you have to give it time. And I don't think that he's gotten the time yet to prove that. I understand the clock is ticking and people are going to get, people that donate a heck of a lot more money than I do are going to start to get restless. But I think the guy deserves a little time, man. I think we're working our way towards a better future.
Yeah, I think he's got to win some games this year. I mean, I'm not saying he's got to win a lot of games. I'm not saying he's got to win 12 or something like that. He's got to win some games this year, and you can't go 5-7 again. That's for sure.
No, you can't. And what really stinks, man, is and nobody looks at this because it doesn't matter. It's what the scoreboard says at the end of the game. But when you look at how close some of those games were against some top teams in the country, it makes me feel like we're not that far away. But to end the year with that many losses in a row is just like a kick in the belly, man. That's a hard thing to get over.
You were kind of raised on Spurrier. You're one of those kind of guys. And did you ever think we'd see the day when Florida would have 3 straight losing seasons?
No, now you got to remember though. I grew up a mile and a half from the stadium, so I do remember I remember the Pell and the Galen Hall, and I remember all those years as well. But you're right. After what we went through with Spurrier, and then when Urban came in, did I think that we would ever have 3 losing seasons in a row? No, I did not think that. No,
I don't think anybody did. But before we get to the picks, and again, we got 11 games we're gonna pick. We'll knock them out quickly. But I wanted you to tell people where you guys are going to be. I know you and Ken are doing a lot of concerts, and I saw that you were doing a couple around the state. We did. We're doing a New Year's Eve show for a charity down in West Palm on New Year's Eve. It's really I think we're playing like 45 minutes or something during dinner. It's one of those things. It's a fancy. It's more fancy than he and I are, but we're gonna be there. So are people gonna be like, is somebody gonna be saying, "Hey, more butter over here"?
Yeah, I have to take a break from serving the tables to actually go play a song, but it'll be good. Now let's see, and then in January we're in Clearwater and Fort Myers and Fort Pierce and Boca. We're also doing the 38th songwriter thing on the 13th and 14th up in the Panhandle. So yeah, I guess we're a lot busier than I thought.
Yeah.
I'm starting to wonder if my wife makes my schedule. I'm gone like all of January now. How did that happen?
Yeah, you might want to check on that gardener there.
Yeah. The house is more peaceful when I'm not here. I promise.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. But hey, we appreciate you, and of course, it would have been ideal if I could have collected on our bet from last year before we made another bet this year. But I'll just have 2 orders of everything.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll say, yeah, I'll have chicken wings. Give me 40.
Yeah. You're gonna have to put in some double time work on that elliptical if we do that. So.
Yeah. Well, that's what you have to do. You have to get out there and work out. I always love it when you would be there at the gym and Jasmine would be there, and she would come up to me and go, "Make sure he does his work. We want him around for a while." And I'm like, we?
My kids are the same way. They're like, "Look, it's not that we think you're fat. We just want you to live longer." I'm like, neither one of those sound like a compliment.
Yeah, I don't think either was meant as a compliment. All right, let's do some of these games quickly, which would be Texas A&M, Oklahoma State. I'll go first. I'm going to take the Aggies, even though they've had massive movement into the portal. I think they'll find a way to win the game. I think Oklahoma State was a surprising team, but they kind of petered out there at the end.
And I saw that, but I'll tell you this, man, with the head coach situation and all that, I'm going to give Oklahoma State the win in that one. I think that they're going to pull out a surprise. I'm curious as to how much heart Texas A&M has right now in the postseason. That's just my thought.
That's the weird thing. And it's funny, they just hired a coach away from Florida, defensive coach, but I mean, he's not going to coach in the game. So Mike Elko's. I always wonder that. Why don't you hire a coach and you put him to work, but you don't want him coaching in the bowl game? I can never really figure out why that is.
Yeah, especially if the person that he's replacing is already gone. I mean, could you use the help? You know what I mean? So yeah.
I wonder if Jimbo, when he left town, like had satchels full of cash and just walking.
I got to tell you, man, that is the craziest part of what they do. When you get fired and they hand you $30 million to go away or whatever, I don't even know what it was, but whatever it is, it's like, I don't know. It's that kind of stuff is crazy to me.
Have you ever been fired in your life?
I got to be honest. No,
So
I don't
far,
think
not from the band. So far.
Right. No. Yeah. So far. Well, they tried to fire me. No, I'm just kidding. Stop barking at me. It's a hat. The dogs are barking at me.
We're dog friendly here.
Yeah. No, I don't think I've ever been fired from a job.
Yeah, I don't think I have either, which is lucky. Sometimes I get out just in time.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, that's an interesting question.
All right, let's get to the Orange Bowl, the big game between Georgia and FSU, where everybody is either opted out or is hurt.
Yeah. Georgia. I mean,
There's not going to be a lot of desire in that FSU team. I don't
no.
think.
And
And they don't have a quarterback. Yeah.
I understand all the discussions about it, but look, I'll tell you what, you want to really make a case for yourself, and I'm sure this is what the coaches are telling these players. You want to really make a case for how unfair it was. Go out there and beat Georgia. Put it to them. And then I'll come back and go, you know what? I was wrong. You guys probably deserve to be, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm taking Georgia. Instead,
they're trying to bolt their conference and nobody's showing up for the game. But you can get tickets for pretty cheap down there for that Orange Bowl game. I can tell you that. All right, Ole Miss and Penn State. And again, I could identify. I'll go ahead and identify the bowl. That's in the Peach Bowl. I didn't know if you knew that or not.
I did not. I don't know what bowl these are that we're talking about, but with so you're picking on that one. Which one?
So I'm going to take the Running Rebels or the Bears. Okay. Remember that when they were trying to be called the Bears for a while? Like they had a black bear mascot. I don't know whatever happened to that. That didn't work out. It happened. I'm telling you. I didn't dream it.
I'm with you on that. So
okay,
that'll be a push. Hopefully we don't lose.
Citrus Bowl, Iowa, Tennessee. Ooh, man.
So I don't know because that quarterback, Tennessee's quarterback he's an excellent athlete. Is he an excellent quarterback? Not really, in my opinion. Of course, I play guitar for a living, but when he has a great game and does all the things that he's supposed to do right, they play better. But he doesn't always do those things. So this was a tough one for me. I guess I'm gonna go with the SEC team on that and say Tennessee wins.
All right, I'm gonna pick Iowa for one reason, and that is they find ways to win, and I still don't know how they've won any games, let alone all these games that they've won. I mean, they just their offense is inept.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Sounds like they're both kind of a question mark.
All right, in the I can't read my writing here, but who's LSU playing? I should probably put my glasses.
Wisconsin.
What game is that? Yeah, Wisconsin in the. Oh, it's what used to be the Outback Bowl. Now it's like the I don't know, CarQuest Bowl or something. Reliant Bowl.
All right, your turn. What are you doing?
Jaden Daniels is sitting out, isn't he?
See, that's exactly what I was just thinking. I think I think he's opting for the draft.
Yeah, well, he should. He'd probably be I would go Caleb Williams, and then he'll probably be a first round pick.
Yeah.
As a result, well,
is he a sophomore?
No, he's a junior. He transferred to Arizona State.
Okay, all right.
So I'm going to take LSU because their backup is pretty good. Nussmeier, I like him.
Okay. Yeah, and it's not like he was doing it all by himself. He does have a good team around him. Just for fun, I'll take Wisconsin.
Okay.
Not that that's fun. I don't know what was fun about that, but
did you enjoy that?
Yeah. Whee!
All right. In the Music City Bowl, Maryland is playing. Is that Houston they're playing?
Auburn.
That's close. I was close. I can't. Here's the thing. I can't keep my glasses on because of that. I've got one of those halo lights.
Yeah.
Yep. And then it reflects, so I can't keep them on. So I got to keep. It's like I'm like Muschamp, with the readers. Hey, what? Damn it! All right, Auburn, Maryland, Music City Bowl. Cut other stuff out, Zach.
I don't
This
know
has
a
been
lot
an hour
about,
show, okay? We got
yeah, I don't know a lot about Maryland. I know Auburn played some good games. They didn't have many complete games.
yeah.
I'm going to go with Auburn.
All right, I'm going to take Maryland because they've got a Tunga Viola as their quarterback. So,
Well, there's a name dropper.
all right, Kentucky is playing in the Gator Bowl against Clemson, which I'm sure Clemson's really happy to get programs like that. But there's a reason they're in the Gator Bowl.
I know. And I like Dabo, man. And what happened with Kentucky, man? I mean, what happened?
That was a weird season. Well, one thing, their quarterback's terrible. Devin Leary, I thought was going to be a great acquisition. I even asked Robbie this question on Yes, No Way, or Maybe one day, brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak. And by the way, this Zoom call is brought to you also by Big Mills Cheesesteak, street dining done the right way. Whether Devin Leary was in the running to be the worst quarterback to ever beat Florida. But I think that was the biggest problem. He just wasn't that good.
Man, but they're like, and I guess if you figure out quickly to load the box and stop the run, then it puts a lot of pressure on him, which apparently we didn't figure that out quite soon enough.
No, chose not
to. Yeah. So you know what, man? I'm going to go with Clemson on that.
All right. I must stay with Clemson too. And here's the thing about Clemson. They had such a weird season in which they were knocked out of contention early and just couldn't win the close games. And then they found a way to win them. And that's why I'm going to stay with Clemson. I don't know that momentum carries over into a bowl season, though. You never know.
Right.
What shows up in the bowl games. All right. Rutgers in Miami in the Pinstripe Bowl. I looked it up just so you know, so I wouldn't have the advantage. It's supposed to be 40 and rainy for that game.
Really?
Just so you know, because they're playing Miami. It's in New York.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, honestly, I'm just not a big Miami fan anyway. Our drummer is like a huge Miami guy.
You guys are going to be going head to head August 31st, right?
Oh, and look, it will be my worst nightmare if they win that game. So I'll go with Rutgers. You didn't send me that one as one of our picks, but I'm fine.
I might have added it late. I'll take Miami, and the same reason I pick them a lot of the time. If they win, I got it right.
Yeah, but see, you just tried to manipulate me into picking the other team, and then you took Miami. This whole thing is a setup.
I don't even know who's playing quarterback for Miami in that game.
I don't either. I don't think they do yet. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Well, where are we here? Let's get to the two playoff games. First of all, Alabama, Michigan in the Rose Bowl. I'll tell you, I'm taking Michigan. I've got a feeling this is going to be Michigan's year. I think the next thing you know, they're going to take Jim Harbaugh out there and they're going to lynch him publicly, and they're going to rally around that, and they're going to win that game too. It's just unbelievable how the NCAA is going after him, and rightfully so. They've been cheating.
I was going to say,
yeah, and it's almost like they go, yeah, hit him again. Well, that just makes it matter.
Yeah, I look, man. I don't know any other coaches. Well, actually, I don't know enough of behind the scenes. But for the stuff that he's actually been accused of, and it's been proven, and they've said, yeah, he did it. How is the guy still got a gig? I don't understand it. Like, I don't understand how he's still, like, nothing's happened.
Well, and the NCAA has no power, and he's winning games. That's all I care about.
Right. Well, I'm picking Alabama.
Oh, you rolled Tide?
No, I didn't say that. Don't be putting words in my mouth.
All right, and then the other game, obviously, out in the Sugar Bowl, Texas and Washington.
Yeah, I'm going Texas.
Yeah, I am too. I just think they're too good. I think Washington has won a lot of close games, and really, I appreciate their season. I had Penix right where he finished in the Heisman, in my vote. But they've really had a good season, but I just think Texas got too much talent.
And you think Michigan
unless the quarterback gets hurt.
and you think Michigan is taking the whole thing?
I do.
Okay. I think Alabama's taking the whole thing.
I kind of hope you're right. I hate to say that out loud, but I like Saban. I'm a big Saban guy now.
What, man? What are you gonna? You can not like him, and that's fine. But to say he's not a great coach is ridiculous. I mean, the guy's a great coach.
I think I missed one game here. I think it was the Cotton Bowl, Missouri and Ohio State. Yeah, that'll be a good game to watch.
I agree, man. I think that's a good game to watch. And you know what? I'm going with Missouri.
Oh, okay.
I know that's like probably not a very smart pick, but good for them, man. They had a great year. That's a good team. Ohio State may not be super fired up because this isn't the level they're used to playing. I think Missouri might win that game.
They haven't played in a long time either because they didn't play in their championship game. And
remember that year that Michigan played Florida in the Capital One game bowl or whatever it was down in Orlando, and Florida was like, we still had Tebow, and we just didn't. We didn't. I kind of feel like that's where Ohio State is. They're kind of like, all right, cool.
That Florida defense was freshmen who became national champion defenders the next year, but they weren't that year. It was Major Wright, Joe Hayden. They had to put Mike Pouncey at defensive tackle because they ran out of him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So that was a weird game, and I remember Tebow after that game being really upset. I mean, he wasn't like promise upset,
right?
But he was upset. He was really mad that they'd lost that game. And I went, they're going to be okay next year with this guy.
Yeah.
All right, did I get to them all? We got them all?
I think that's it.
All right, well, keep track of the winners and losers. I'll do
I will. I always text you if I'm winning. If I'm losing, you won't hear from me.
Well, yeah, when you're winning, I do hear from you.
Yeah. Hey, did you write them down just now?
Yep, I got them written
What
down.
we picked? Okay, because we're both getting old, and we might have to just watch a replay of this to remember what we picked.
All right, now Drew Copeland's going to be our guest coming up. Oh, wait. Yeah, we already did that. Yeah. It's like Karen and I were looking for a level just now, and we couldn't find it. It was just sitting in the garage, like where it was supposed to be. And we're like, we kind of look at each other and go, it's going to be a long couple of years here.
Oh, man. And look, with the way my hearing is going from being in a stinking band for 30 years, my kids and my wife it's almost like they're going to have to get those erase boards and just write out what they're trying to say and show it to me because I can't hear anything anymore.
Maybe you could teach them sign language.
Yeah, who's going to teach me?
I used to know it. I know some of the symbols, but I don't know. I think that's an M, but I don't know. Or maybe that's an M.
You need to be careful doing that. You have no idea what you're saying.
Yeah. It's probably something that's going to get the FCC after me now.
Exactly.
By the way, I did want to, one thing before you leave, big win for basketball the other night, and I know you're a big basketball guy. You love it. You've sang the national anthem there several times.
I'm going tomorrow night too.
Are you?
Yeah.
Kelsey will be there, actually. Kelsey and her friend, they're going to be there, and they're my friend Chris Connor got them club seats, so they may not want to make a sorry, sir, over there in the riffraff section.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
Especially if you wear that toboggan. So
yeah, yeah, I like the team, man. I like the basketball team.
Yeah, they're fun to watch. They don't play a lot of defense, but that's a weird thing. I talked about this earlier. They don't play any defense, but they block 10 shots in the game.
Right.
Well, I don't know what it still was bad defense. They gave up 100 points. So, but they're fun to watch them, and they will score.
And it's fun to watch like great shooters. Like I feel like we haven't had great shooters in a while, and we have that now. It's really nice. Yeah.
All right, that is going to do it for our pick contest. Drew Copeland and myself. It's an annual thing, and I always love doing it. We appreciate Drew for being on the show. We'll be back with more of another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios after we take this break.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Process Service of Gainesville offers a rapid turnaround on affidavits of service for Gator lawyers locally and nationwide. Our friend Scott Hart offers immediate responses on status requests and is a member of NAPS and FAPS. And he has been a part of the community for almost 2 decades. Need service? Call Process Service of Gainesville at 407-697-9592 or email shartgators, that's G8TR, at yahoo.com. And make sure you ask about the paralegal legal secretary bonus program.
Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coaches Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. Okay, and welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios right here in Gainesville, Florida, the home of the Gators. Appreciate all of you for watching. Let's get to our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. In fact, I think Ken is somewhere overseas. He was texting me a menu, and I was like, I can't read this. Anyway, but at the bottom it said Max Stark, so I'm still trying to figure out what that was about. Anyway, here we go. Hesser and Kipke's 3 things. You know, Hesser and Kipke is a Gainesville law firm specializing in the areas of workers' compensation and family law. Ken and Jennifer take great pride in their one-to-one focus on each and every client they represent. Ken is board certified in workers' compensation law by the Florida Bar, while Jennifer possesses extensive jury trial experience with a nearly 20-year background as a prosecutor. Don't believe me? Well, check out their 5-star Google reviews. Set an appointment at hklawfl.com, or better yet, give them a call at 352-339-9920. That is Hesser and Kipke. Of course, Jennifer has a great name because my daughter Jennifer will be here sometime late tonight for the holidays, and that's great. And again, whatever holiday you celebrate, happy holidays. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. Just enjoy your family. That's what it's all about. It should just be called Happy Family. Although Christmas dinners tend to get a little crazy. Not at our house. Not at our house. They'll be fine. And in fact, I think we're having the same thing we always have for Christmas dinner, which is filet mignon, which means I have to buy 5 fillets. Okay, let's get to the Hesser and Kipke 3 things. And number one, and many of you will know what happened on this because it's happening tomorrow, I think at 10 a.m. But FSU has called a board meeting to talk about still again trying to get out of this grant of rights and whether it's legally binding and everything. And of course, the problem for FSU is, well, we didn't get we exhausted all of our options. Not that there were any options, but we still tried them. We tried to still somehow get into the playoff while still selling Orange Bowl tickets. But the reason we didn't get in is because our league sucks. Well, yeah, it does. It doesn't every year, but it did this year, and the strength of schedule hurt you. Well, one of the problems you had was you played Florida, bad non-conference team. But I don't know what they think they're going to do or where they're going to go. Now, you know, a lot of this stuff happens behind the scenes, and maybe there is a place for them to go. Maybe it's already been discussed. Maybe the Big Ten wants them. Maybe the SEC wants them. Personally, I don't care for them, but we'll see what happens. And you'll probably, those of you who listen this Friday, probably already know if anything happened. I don't think anything is going to happen, to be honest with you. But they are having a board meeting Friday at 10 o'clock. All right, number 2 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Interesting that Peter Burns put this out, and I hadn't thought about it either, but it's true. Next year, signing day is scheduled for the 20th. No, what he was saying was today, the day of signing day was December 20th. Next year, the first game of the playoffs will be on December 20th. You got to they can't be even in the same week. That's not going to work. I mean, you're asking coaches to get ready for a game and recruit. But then I start thinking about it, I go, well, it didn't seem to bother Georgia playing in the SEC title game. What was it? 2 weeks later, they come up with the number 1 class. We'll see where if they have to do that. There's a lot that we don't know about the 2024 football season. We finally know the schedule for the SEC and for pretty much everybody else, but we just don't know a lot about what's going to happen with the playoffs. Like, are they going to let the Pac-12, this new Pac-12 with its 2 teams that matter and that barely mattered, didn't matter enough to get bought up? So we'll see. There's a lot of stuff that still has to be decided before we even get to next football season. All right, number 3 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. And I will speak for Ken and Jennifer here, and I will tell you from Hesser and Kipke, they want to wish you happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, everything, anything. They're a big part of our show, and we appreciate them so much for being a big part of our show. And all of our sponsors feel that way. I know that they all want everybody to have a good time. So that is our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. We appreciate them. Let's get to our Adams Ribco to Go Gator of the Week. And I had a lot of options, which was good with the Tuesday, Wednesday basketball. But I went with Tyrese Samuel. And Tyrese Samuel may be my favorite player on this team. And I'm sure he's Adam's favorite player on this team. Because I just love how hard he plays. I don't like his free throw shooting, no, but hopefully you get better. In fact, I think it was my daughter asked me, how do you get better at it? And I said, listen to Mark Wise, confidence and repetition. And I agree with him to 100%. You got to shoot as many as you can, and you got to have confidence in your stroke. But Tyrese Samuel was a beast and that rebound he got is the reason Florida won that game. Now, well, there was a million reasons, but because there was too much to get in the paper or online. But when he grabbed that rebound on the missed shot with 8-9 seconds to go, kicked it right out to a Zion Poland, he hits a 3, and now Florida goes into a second overtime. But that was it. I mean, that was the biggest play of the game to me. 21 points, 11 rebounds, 4th double-double for Tyrese Samuel. When he came to Florida, I was like, okay, guy from Seton Hall. I mean, I really hadn't seen him play. And guys were telling me, look, he's really going to help this team. He's better than I thought, to be honest with you. Really good player. So he's our Adams Ribco to Go Gator of the Week. So right there, he's got that going for him. All right, let's get to our Leonardo's and Millhopper quick picks. These games are being played next Wednesday, believe it or not. But since we're not doing a show Monday, I give you a lot of time to get these done. Louisville is giving 7.5 at USC, and a lot is because of opt-outs and everything like that. But Louisville being a 7.5 point favorite over USC, and Ohio State is getting 2.5 against Texas A&M. So those are the 2 games. Now that we're into bowl season, we're going to give you some games. But those are 2 games on Wednesday next week. So you got plenty of time to think about it, plenty of time to enter, and get into the contest. If you qualify, if you get All you have to do is get one right. In fact, this case, we'll only have to make you get one right. You just can't go 0 for 2, and you'll qualify to get a $25 gift certificate of Leonardo's at Millhopper, and also a hat from the Bob Dooley Invitational, or maybe a book. You never know. You never know what kind of mood I'm going to be in that day. All right, let us get to this, that, and the other. It is brought to you, as always, by Ironwood Golf Course, where the greens are slick right now, man. I went out there and played yesterday, and they were pretty fast. They were good, but they were fast. And by Darshackow Insurance, they are not slick. They do their job. They do a great job. And by Ballyhoo Grill. We ate the other night, and I will tell you that Ballyhoo Grill's got an offer. If you want to get a last-second Christmas present, this is the way to go. For $100, you get $125 in gift certificates. If you want to spend $200, you get $250 in gift certificates at Ballyhoo. So that's a great deal. You get basically free money, free food. So that is the deal there at Ballyhoo. We appreciate them. All right, first of all, the this. The this was Billy Napier came to Florida and was basically given a blank check. Now, I mean, I say that metaphorically, but the bottom line is he hired all these assistants, all these different people, all these things, and Florida spent all kinds of money to make sure they were Escalades and picking them up at the other, because he needed that for talent acquisition. He needed that to get this team back. He needed to get better players in here. We all knew that. Yeah. And everything we heard, and everything we looked at, and every example we were given, and when we would talk to other people about it, impressed. And we know that they're doing all the same things at Georgia and Alabama. So what happens? He wows people. He gets in on when people that weren't even going to, consider Florida. And all of a sudden, he's got the number 3 class in America. And we are all going, give him time, man. This guy's going to build it. And the other is, of course, now they have a class that's not in the top 10. And so people are like, hey, that's all you could do. That was the one thing we thought you were going to be good at, because we don't like the way you're calling plays. And by the way, he hinted that he is getting ready to call. He may be hiring a play caller. I personally don't think he's bad at it. I do understand. There's sometimes I don't like his call, but I don't like any call that doesn't work. You watch a game and you go, why'd you run it on 3rd and 1? Should have thrown it. I criticized the Tebow 4th down against Ole Miss. I'd have jumped past that thing. Anyway, but that's the other. The other is, this was the one thing you're good at. What you're not good at is winning close games or finishing or having winning records. That's where we are right now with you. This is the sample size of Billy Napier. 2 losing seasons, not able to pull out games, defense that sucks. And again, he's fired a bunch of coaches, but how do we know that's the answer? He fired 2 coaches, and one of them left to get a better job. And again, Jay Bateman got promoted, so let's not make any more out of that than we have to. Losing is a disease, though, guys. And let me tell you what, one of these things these guys are looking at, and that they can be used against you when you're Florida right now as Florida. Why would you want to go there? They've had 3 straight losing seasons. And have you looked at their schedule this year? They're not going to have a winning season this year. You're going to go somewhere where they're just it's not good. It's a mess. It's a disaster. Doesn't matter if any of that is true, but that's what recruits are using. Recruiting coordinators and coaches are using, and I don't blame them. That's what I would say. And that's what you used to say about other schools. Why would they go to Missouri? Stuff like that. Anyway, the heat is on, man. The heat is on. And we'll just see what happens. We'll see if things get better in some way between now and August. I don't know how much can possibly change, new portal stuff, and we'll see. But the heat is definitely on. You better win some games next year, Billy. That's the bottom line. You better win, I would say, at least Well, at least 7, but I think you've got to win 8. Again, that's just me talking. Now, I haven't talked to anybody about it, believe me. All right, let's get to our Swamp games of the weekend. And you talk about a place where you can watch all these games. The Swamp is perfect for you, the Swamp Restaurant, which is one of my favorite places to go. Food is great. And man, they have all these screens and you can watch all the different things you want to watch. And there's so many of them. I'm not even come close to giving them all to you. First of all, on our Swamp Restaurant games of the weekend, 7 bowl games Saturday. You ready for that? You ready for Bowlapalooza? To be honest with you, not one of them really interests me that much. Although I will say the Utah at Northwestern game, maybe I would watch. The bottom line is, that on Saturday I'm going to be watching a lot of football games. But I'm going to also spend a lot of time with family. So I'm going to watch a little bit here and there, but you watch a little piece of one, you'll watch, hey, these teams are tied. Like the other night, I wasn't going to watch the Western Kentucky and whoever they played game. And one team got way ahead and I didn't even know. And then they came back and it went to overtime. We're watching it. Yeah, we're hooked on it. We were at Value actually watching it. So there's 7 games. That to me is the best one. It's on ABC at 7:30 on Saturday night. Friday, by the way, you've got, the Gasparilla Bowl, Georgia Tech, UCF. You got that going. 6:30 ESPN. There is that. Saturday on the NFL. 2 games on Saturday, including Jacksonville, Tampa Bay. Well, Jacksonville, Tampa Bay is actually, 4:05 CBS. And Dallas at Miami. These are the Sunday games. Dallas at Miami, 4:25, and that is on Fox. Also, we have the Ravens at San Francisco on Christmas Day. That is at 8:15, on ABC, Christmas Day. So there's all kinds of, here's the bottom line. Turn your TV on, man. Just watch the games. Just watch the games, Robbie. All right. Let us finish up with our Pat Dooley story time. We always love bringing it to you from Eastlake Pediatrics and Michael Jordan, a great man that he is, and look forward to seeing him soon. Now that football's over, we can start seeing some people. All right, I'm going to tell this story. It's kind of a weird story. But twice in my life, and everybody should have this once in their life, twice in my life, my Christmas present was a brand new car. What? Well, yeah. First wife got me a brand new, and I want to say it was an Ultima, but I don't think it was. And I don't want to besmirch the name of Ultima as a result. But the thing was a lemon. It was a beautiful new car. There was a big bow on it, that typical thing. We had gotten a lot of money when we had left Jacksonville. We had just moved to Gainesville and probably shouldn't have spent it on it, but I'm not going to get into that. But the point is, I did need a car really bad, and I loved it. It was beautiful. It was just a lemon. There was something about it. The seat was broken like within a month, and all this stuff that went wrong with it. It wouldn't start. Now, here's the great irony of this. There was a bar called PJ O'Reilly's, which I loved, and I went there all the time, like almost every day, and it never would start at PJ's. And it became a running joke. Yeah, sure, your car won't start, and you have to stick around for a while longer. But it was true. It wouldn't start. I don't know that there was something in the system, the computer system, that was screwing up. But I had to get a lot of rides home. Anyway, that was a lemon. Then I get another car for another Christmas from my great loving wife, Karen, and it was an Elantra. An Avalon. It was one of those. Anyway, it was the upscale of a Camry. It was the most beautiful car I've ever been in. It had all the bells and whistles. I go, Karen, this car is too nice for me. It really is. Seat warmers and everything. I had it for 20 days, and then I totaled it. ran into a guy who cut in front of me. It was not good. And all it did was cave in the front end. And so obviously you have, you can't fix it. The other thing was the airbags went off, and because the airbags went off, you can't put them back in. So you're basically total. If your airbags go off for whatever reason, that's it. Your car is done, I guess. Anyway, I did want to mention that in both cases, I really appreciated what I got, and especially what Karen got me was, I mean, that car was so great. And I felt really terrible about it, but got out with a few scrapes and everything was okay. And, but hey, my 2 cars, man. Actually, I could do a sitcom on that. My 2 cars. Anyway, that's going to do it for another Duly Noted podcast today. Again, no show on Monday, guys. We'll enjoy the holidays like all of you. And then we'll be back with a show on Thursday from the Dooley Dome again. Until then, I am Pat Dooley. Please have a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays from the Dooley family, from the Hesser and Kipke family, from the Calorio family at Titan MRI, from the Cohen family at Leonardo's, from the Meldon family, Meldon Law, from Hesser and Kipke, from Adam at Adam's Rib, all the people. Am I missing anybody? The people at the Swamp, the people, Ryan at the Swamp, the people. Anyway, you know, all our friends who make this happen, and we appreciate them. Most of all, we appreciate Zach for producing this show. We're working as a team now, man. It is going strong, and we're just going to keep it going until after Christmas, till Thursday. I am Pat Dooley. I am deep. I am way back, and I am out of here. All right.